Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
And I'm the captain.
It's coffee time here at Andertons.co.uk.
And we've got a new toy.
Yes.
We've got a new toy, and it's a subject of some debate as well, which I think is good. You feel free to get involved.
Yes.
So here's a little amplifier. It's a combo. It's cream covered. It's got a sort of a tweedy kind of front to it. It looks like something that might be, aimed at the blues guy. It says the word blues in the title, which is always a good thing.
Oh, also what's good is the way it sounds, which is it sounds like this. So let's observe and understand the detailed beginnings behind this wonderful new amplifier from Roland.
Roland.
I understand, Lee,
Yes.
that they took an old F-type amp.
Really? What? An F-type amplifier that perhaps had the word man in it and perhaps might have the other word boom, 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 boom.
And they ripped its entrails out.
I think they did,
And
yes.
studied carefully the interaction from one unit to the next.
Yeah, I'm guessing, don't really know how you might do this, but I suppose there is a scientific way of doing this. But obviously I think one of the key things with tube amp circuits is everything affects how everything else works. It's not a question of component A makes a noise which goes into component B and into component C and then out the speaker. It's like if you change something to do with component C, all of a sudden in a tube amplifier, component A starts to behave completely differently.
It's a system.
And that's what makes valve amplifiers so unbelievably amazing to play and unbelievably organic to the player and the guitar and so incredibly difficult to replicate, not using valve.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's talk about a couple of really positive things about transistor amplifiers.
Yes.
But I'd like to start with something a bit unusual, the price.
Yes.
Because normally we go, and the price at the end, and then people go, and based upon that assumption, I think it's good or bad. How much does this cost?
Okay, so there will be 2 blues cubes in the range. They actually aren't likely to hit the shops until early 2015, but there'll be 2 in the range. They are a 60 watt 1x12 in a slightly smaller cabinet than this one called the Blues Cube Stage, I think. Stage or Studio? Hang on a second. Sorry, chaps. The Blues Cube Stage. And that's going to be about £430 in the UK.
Wow.
Or this one, which is an 80 watter in a slightly larger 1x12 cabinet with a couple of extra features on that we'll go through. And that's going to be $539.
So this is the Blues Cube Artist. Now, we know from cubes that they never die.
They never die.
I've had many.
We shot flaming arrows into a Blues Cube in a video from a few years ago and couldn't blow it up.
You can't kill a cube.
But that, in fairness, you can say of many solid-state amplifiers. It's an absolute bonus feature of a solid-state amplifier is they are phenomenally robust.
But what we could say about valve amplifiers is that lots of them have develop or can or are prone to issues sometimes because of the nature of a valve.
Valves themselves are unreliable, and of course they get incredibly hot as well. So any circuits that are close by a valve are likely to be potentially damaged by that heat. So yes, valve amplifiers, I think you would absolutely go. If we had a whiteboard of win lose, on the reliability score, solid state win, valve lose.
Immediately, the first application for something like this is if you're a basement player, for example, from Fender, and you know that you want to tour that all the time, or you want it in the studio, and you know there's a chance you might have a fuse go, or a capacitor go, or the speaker might go, or whatever. You got this as a backup.
Yeah.
£500 or £600, you are absolutely safe.
Yeah. The second thing, which is a downside with tube amplifiers, is they are invariably pretty heavy. Big transformers mean extra weight. And this thing here is, I'm going to get the weight for you actually, if it's on my list of things here. It is not on my list of things. Fantastic. But it's
Let's make up a weight. I'm going to say it's £5.
It's more than that. I'll put the weight in the spec in the description below.
It's light.
But
it's
it's
really
about...
light. Yeah, it's light.
If you compared it to, say, something like, say, a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe or a Vox AC15 or something around about that sort of size, this is about half the weight of one of those.
Because you haven't got the gubbins inside that deal with the valves and tubes and things, so it needs less gubbins. We know the people at Roland are incredibly intelligent. I have met many of them, Japanese and English and American, and it's almost a duty of honour to make sure that what they do is as perfect as they can possibly manage. So you can rest assured that this is going to be a great product in terms of quality and the time they spent making it.
So everything is good. Reliable, better value than Valve, lighter than Valve. But does it sound, you know, I mean, that ultimately, that's the nirvana, isn't it? It's like, why do we as guitar players still buy Valve amplifiers? Because they sound amazing. So I want to, the first thing that, again, Roland were really, really keen to get across is this is not a digital modelling amplifier trying to replicate the sound of other famous amplifiers. This is, as Rob said, an amplifier that has started by taking a really, really classic, historically sort of legendary Valve amplifier, taking it apart, understanding all the interaction of all the different components, and just building a solid state version of that amplifier from the ground up, and then perhaps adding some functionality that modern guitar players would like.
Which
it's
I
not
think,
a modelling amp, and it's got no COSM stuff or anything you've seen on cubes before. It's not any of that.
Now, I have said to modelling companies and digital companies before, this is exactly what I think they should be doing. Because I know many, and I've demonstrated almost every single modelling amplifier with a million different sounds in it. And what you end up with is option paralysis, where you kind of go, I don't know what I want this to sound like. And I always said, I wish you would just make an amp that is like a JCM 800 or like a Fender Twin, but all tranny. And then you get the security and the safety and the comfort.
Rabin's heard the word tranny and laughed, which has made me laugh.
But then you get the security knowing that the product is going to be like awesome, never going to break on you, and you don't get option paralysis. You know what it's supposed to sound like, so you can gauge easier if you like the sound or not.
So I tell you what, pass me Handycam, and we'll whiz you across the top panel of the amplifier, talk about the features, and then Rob can kind of play. I'm trying to decide what guitar...
I want to use Betsy. The only reason we're putting this way is because it's thousands of pounds worth of guitar, and we want to kind of...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, I need to pass you Betsy. To be honest,
you're in love with this, aren't you?
Nobody's really watching you or I. They're all just looking at this Les Paul dribbling.
Yeah. In fact, I heard Lee saying earlier that he's actually considering buying a Les Paul.
I've been considering it for a long time. What I actually said was I'm going to do it.
Oh, you heard it here.
Christmas.
Wow. You know what? Actually, I might do it as well with you.
2 Les Pauls for the price of 1.
Well, we both need one, so you know.
Right. So you plugged in?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start down this end on Handycam.
Let's have it on as well.
It is on.
No, the amp.
Oh, the amp. Sorry, I think the camera. Okay, it's a good shout. Okay, so down the end. Oh, hello. We have 2 inputs, a high and a low. The high is a high impedance input, which is really designed for the guy that just wants to plug his guitar straight in with no pedals and feel every possible organic connection with the amplifier. The low is a lower impedance input that's been designed that will handle pedals better. We do have some pedals on the floor, but we aren't going to be using them just yet. So for the timing, this is just telly straight in. Then as I whiz along, you can see we have a clean channel, which also has a boost and a tone, like a brightness type thing.
Nice feeling switches too.
A crunch channel, again, with boost and tone against it. What I really like, and what a lot of what you've heard Rob and I playing when we were sort of jamming, or not jamming, but just noodling, is what's called dual tone, which is where you run the clean and the crunch channel simultaneously.
That's a very classic recording technique.
Then we have a simple EQ, bass, middle, treble. Then we have some effects. So get very classic. We have a tremolo effect and we have a reverb effect. On this particular model, we also have an effects loop, which you don't get on the smaller one, although we're not running anything through it. And then we have presence control, a master volume control, and 4 power amp modes. Now,
so are they simulating the way the transistor would react?
What they said, and they were very keen to say this, the 4 output modes, and it goes from essentially half a watt up to maximum watt, are all discrete, separate power amps. So it's not taking one power amplifier and just making it run
There are
quieter.
4 power amps in here.
Yeah, so each one will behave like essentially you would hope a sort of a valve kind of similarly typed powered amp.
That's
would
interesting.
work.
So what is it on at the moment?
I've got it on its 45 watt mode, which on this particular model is the third loudest. So it will go up to 80 beyond that, and it goes down to 15 and half. So that's the kind of panel sweep, so you can kind of see. And what I'll do now is I'll put the little camera down and I'll just let Rob play, and I'll just literally fiddle with the knobs.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to see, unfortunately, what knobs I'm fiddling with, but it should be pretty obvious what I'm doing. So I'll just turn this off, yeah?
Turn it off, bro.
Let me introduce each channel. So this is just clean, and I'm going to literally, what you'll see me doing, if I do that, I've put the boost on the clean channel, and if I do that, I've put the tone control on, which is like a sort of it's like a tone shifty, brightnessy.
For those interested, this is my 1952 reissue Fender Telly called Betsy.
It's beautiful.
Well, actually, she's called Tilly because I had a Telly called Betsy and she died. So
And what have you done to it? Because it's not normal.
Oh no, I had it. I had all the goop taken off the neck. Had it re-radiused, jumbo frets put in.
So it's like a hot rod telly, isn't it? Really,
It is now, yeah.
But it's
Tilly.
the original pickup and bridge and everything.
Oh yeah,
and
it's all the original
it's all
stuff,
original
but it
tone.
isn't the vintage wiring. It's the regular Telly wiring.
So you got the
just
full
because a lot of
brightness
you
on the
guys are like, we see too many Chapmans. We want to see some traditional guitars. So I got.
You can never see too many Chapmans, but then you can never see too many of anything.
It's true. Big thank you to Jerk Riff City for sending me this wonderful
Yes,
gift.
that was very generous.
Thank you.
So clean sound.
Yes.
And as I said, that's boost. That's boost and tone.
Yes.
or just
So
tone.
here's clean. Sounds great. Yeah, it does.
The boost
What
and
you're
the
seeing,
toning
what you're seeing is
good.
genuine kind of. Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always conscious that on a YouTube video, you never get the dynamics that we get in the room. It's just impossible to get that across YouTube. And also, and I do know that some of you will just go, I don't like it because it hasn't got valves in it.
But
And some
we're
of you
a bit
will
that
be-
way inclined because we're traditionists. We love our valvey amps.
I think this is the challenge that this has got, absolutely, is if this leaves me feeling like, you know, it's okay, then I'm still in the mindset of, I just want to use a valve amplifier. But actually, if this leaves me going, I don't know that I'm likely to end up going, it's because it can't sound better than a valve amplifier, can it? But
Well, arguably it could do because it's its own thing, but it's really to do with subjective personal taste. I want to hear you play a Stax Master.
I know what I need to do. You know what I need to do? I need to play this and forget that it's a solid state amplifier. And that's I think that's ultimately the, you know, if I can honestly get to the end of this and go, do you know what? I didn't even think about it. Then it's probably, you know, it's a big leap.
It's a
forward,
Roland Blues
isn't it?
amp.
So anyway,
Give me a little bit more juice. And
well,
I'll
I
do
like
it.
that. I mean, this is the boost and the tone, and you should play a bit more of that because I interrupted you
Okay.
to make sure the
That's
sound was
fine.
okay.
You know, I spoke to Jay, the guy that we talk to about Roland stuff all the time, and on the phone he said, you know, that what they're trying to really craft is the interaction between player and amp. It should feel, the response should feel like a Valve amp. I do find myself forgetting it's a tranny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that I'll do the same in a minute. I mean, that for me is, and again, I know my playing is uber all about kind of soft and hard picking and things like that, so it's going to be important. But sitting in the room, I'm sitting here kind of, I mean, this is the worst thing. It's almost like this would be a better demo for me if I didn't know it was a solid state amplifier. Probably a better demo for you as well.
Then at some point, and they're going to be telling us this now, we should do a blindfolded this, you know. But can you give me a little bit more like crunchy?
So stay on the clean. Well, do you want to just go to the crunch
Let's
channel?
just go to the crunch, man, because that was all clean channel.
So we're going to go to the crunch channel now, and I'm going to do the same thing basically. It also has a boost and a tone button, so I'll introduce those. But for now, is the level about right? Let's just have a look. So we'll leave that volume level, and I'm going to start with the gain on as low as it goes, wind the gain in, and then when you see me do that for boost and tone, you'll kind of get an idea of when those come in. But just so you guys know as well, tonally, we've got pretty much bass, middle, and treble all around about halfway up. Smidgen, maybe bass is near a 1 o'clock, but we haven't really done anything massive with those. So here we go. Boost! If I'm sitting here looking, you know, sort of perplexed, if you like, I think if Roland had just come out and said, look, here's a little amplifier and it's kind of an extension of the Cube family, and what do you think? I'd have been absolutely blown away by this so far because it sounds great.
Yeah.
But my facial expression is I'm really kind of going, is it as good as a Valve amplifier? And in my head, I'm kind of going, what I've heard so far is the clean with the boosted sort of sound was pretty good, you know. I mean, it's like I wasn't really feeling like, oh no, that feels a bit fakey. The drive sound, I'm sort of giving it maybe an 8 out of 10 sort of thing, as opposed to just, I still think there's a very, very difficult to replicate all those harmonic, incredible overtones that you get when you hear about.
You want it to turn into saturated feedback.
Yes.
I've just put the gain up just a little bit.
I was there. I turned it back down, so you have been there.
Oh, I had been there.
You had been there.
Give me all the gain then, just to see what it's like.
Well, you'd been there as well.
But, was I really?
Yeah. So this is a bluesy amp. It's not a.
What it hasn't done for us so far is that you hold a note and it just begins to turn into that harmonic-y sustain.
You know what it is? It's not even the tone. There's some funny disconnect, and I'm not even the player, so it's, I don't know what it is. Let me try it with the Strat.
No, play this.
Right,
everyone wants to watch you play this, don't you? Tilly. Let me put the camera on you as well.
Do you know what? In fairness to the amplifier here, we're doing this demo quite a bit quieter than we would normally do a valve amp demo, wouldn't we?
That's true. Do you want to turn it up?
It's not so much that I want it to be louder, but I think it's kind of what it's demonstrating is that it is capable of getting some pretty authentic tones at low, low volume.
Put it on that little bridge pickup, just a little tiny bit of leady lead. Sounds to me like they've mimicked the way it reacts at volumes too.
That's happening.
Yeah.
That is happening.
A lot more happening.
That is a lot more happening. So
That's
it's
interesting.
the classic case of everything sounds better when you just turn it up loud.
Well, but they have done exactly what they said they can. They've copied the interaction between all the elements. Turn it up, it's going to sound more like a valve amp would be turned up. Keep it quiet.
My 8 has gone to a 9 bordering 9.5. So there's a feature I really, really like on there, and Rob was saying, well, you were saying you almost thought it was almost like sort of studio style stuff, but it's where the two channels run simultaneously. So you're hearing the clean sort of attack of the guitar coming through the clean tone, plus then the driven sort of saturated ballsy sort of tone. So here's a clean sound, then a gain sound, and then I'll double them up, so the dual sound, and it sounds great. So here's a clean.
You know what? To me, it's 80% there. It's got some of the tones.
Yeah.
Actually, it's got great tone, let's be honest.
Yeah.
All the volume, all the stability. It just needs...
A valve.
No.
I want to show people the tremolo.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to a clean sound.
Okay.
And just show people the tremolo, which is very cool. And it'll go right up to that sort of Green Day style, you know, where you've just got the completely chopped.
'em. Lee, do the power control
Okay,
thing.
so here's what we were in 45 watt mode, so I'm going to leave it. This is the relative tone. So if Rob strums. For what?
Yeah, oh, half a watt. That's the first time I've ever played half a watt on camera.
I think, am I hearing that it is driving a bit more? At
Well, yeah,
half a watt?
let's see if on the gain side it drives it more. Let's see.
It's driving the power section almost a bit more.
Yeah.
15 watt.
More headroom and it's a bit cleaner.
Yeah. 45 watt. Well, play a bit more 15. Wave.
It's cleaning up.
80.
Oh,
There
God.
you go.
Wow.
So-
That's solid, clean.
There's one more feature, which I must admit I can't decide if I like or not on this amplifier. And it's not that I don't like the feature, I just don't know whether it's appropriate for this amplifier. But it has a USB output. So for all of those of you that are going, God, I just want a really great valve sounding blues amplifier for my little kind of pubby blues gigs, but it's got to have a USB output, this is the one for you.
I get that. I wouldn't want that either.
It's like, but it's on there. So I guess for, I don't know, maybe if this amp's going into schools and colleges and things like that, it's going to be useful for doing recording. You wouldn't, you know, you can use that as an audio output rather than having to mic stuff up.
Can we put it on a low output then, and then crank a bit again and see if it reacts more and does a saturated?
Okay, so let's go 15 watts.
Yeah.
Put it on the boost channel.
Well, it did the thing I wanted it to do.
It did the thing, didn't it?
So it really does react the way a valve would.
So we're just going to pop it into the low impedance setting now, which is the one that allegedly handles sort of pedals more. So if you're a kind of a pedal dude and you've got all these sort of boutiquey pedals and you're thinking, normally the rule book says if you've got a solid state amplifier, it's kind of not much point buying really expensive pedals because it kind of doesn't really make them react in the way. So let's see if we're going to tear up the rule book. On the floor down here, I've got my EP boost. I'm going to go handy cam again now.
Do it, bro.
And you'll just see me stomping on pedals and you'll see Robert.
That sounded great.
That sounded great. That was the EP boost, if you can't see on my pedal board here. Do that again.
Is what I like to call a tone. That sounded wicked.
Now,
what was that?
Well, it's just the Stax Master and the EP Boost, basically. So
wow.
I must admit, this
was a tone.
I want to say something that I normally get in trouble for saying, but I think I want to say this is the best solid state amplifier I've ever played ever.
Ooh.
Or ever
and
heard.
you didn't play it. Right, now you play that with that exact tone.
I tell you what, let me use the Strat for this because people love to hear the sort of.
They like to hear the S.
They love to hear the S. Now this is the Squire Strat that I modded and put the Eric Clapton circuit in.
Oh God, it's going to be incredible.
If you see me doing that, can you see that there on this first tone control? That's winding in the clapos.
Winding up. If this doesn't sound absolutely batshit badass, I will eat my own hat, and I don't have a hat. I'll buy one to eat it. Sounds great. Sounds really good. Wow, that was an interesting review because we've gone kind of, let's test it out, let's see what it is. Do we like it? Do we not like it? To, yeah, it's really good.
It's an interesting one because we kind of know, both Chappers and I know, we could just go, it's great, and Roland would share the video and it would get millions of views, and that's great for Robin.
But that doesn't help anything.
But I think, I really wanted to be uber subjective on this and actually be real. I want to be like you guys. I want to be like unbelievably difficult to convince that I would ever want to gig with a solid state amplifier.
I'd gig with that if I was a blues guy.
I absolutely would.
Yeah, I would do. I would use it either as a backup or as my main amp.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably at a level where, to be honest with you, I wouldn't go and sell all the valve amps that I've got to buy that. But if I turned up at a club and like a jam night, and someone said, right, plug in, maybe I brought my pedal board with me, I'm not gonna like go, oh, no, I'm gonna go, cool, Blues Cube, let's do it.
Yeah,
rock and roll.
You know what? If I was on a 2-month bus tour playing blues, I'd absolutely bring one of these with me. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? As well, I mean, I haven't done the whole band thing for a long time, but I had to. We were at I did an Andy Timmons Ivanist clinic the other day, and I had to carry a Mesa Boogie 2x12 Lone Star from the car park to where the venue was, which was about 200 yards. And I only died of a heart attack, basically, sort of, lifting an amplifier that heavy. And
do you have a lift, bro?
And I must admit, actually, if I was gigging, the fact that it's light, the peace of mind that it's, like 99.99999% reliable.
Looks great too.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't see that and associate it with a kind of a cheap amp. No. It's got some tones. I like it. Anyway,
I like it too.
I like it a lot.
That brings me to the fact that I'm Rob Chapman.
And I'm the captain, and I apologise if this has been a lengthy video to get... But, we're putting it through its paces.
Yeah, man.
Proper.
Has to be lengthy sometimes. That's what she said. Chappers out.